How the State Became God. A gathering in Jamestown, Virginia, marked the first representative legislative assembly in the New World, which became the model for other English colonies and eventually the basis for the representative Republican government of the United States. The year 1619 was pivotal in establishing the first permanent English colony in Jamestown and the first elected legislative assembly in the New World, the House of Burgesses, convened in the choir of the town's church. Earlier that year, the London Company, which had established the Jamestown settlement 12 years before, directed Virginia Governor Sir George Yardley to summon a General Assembly elected by the settlers, with every free adult male voting. 22 representatives from the 11 Jamestown boroughs were chosen. Its first law, which, like all its laws, would have to be approved by the London Company, required tobacco to be sold for at least 3 shillings per pound. Other laws passed during its first 6-day session included behavioral laws prohibiting gambling, drunkenness, and idleness, and a measure that made Sabbath observance mandatory. The oldest, continuous lawmaking body in the Western Hemisphere met for the first time. The first General Assembly met in the choir of the new wooden church at Jamestown on July 30, 1619. Following instructions from the Virginia Company of London, the colony's sponsors, the Assembly's primary purpose was to establish one equal and uniform government over all Virginia and introduce just laws for the happy guiding and governing of the people there inhabiting. Accordingly, it met as a single body, the governor, his 4 councilors, and 22 burgesses chosen by the inhabitants of every town, corporation, and large plantation throughout the colony. Henceforth, settlers could participate in their government and promote measures for the general good with proportional representation. The United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, there must be one representative for every 30,000 citizens. Full representation is the only tool man has to oppose the tyranny of the Democratic minority rule. However, the U.S. population has grown too large for a representative government at the federal level. 330 million citizens require 11,000 representatives in Congress. Congress cannot convene with 11,000 in attendance. Too many people in one room to debate and vote. So, the federal government can never comply with the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. Therefore, the central government must dissolve itself and return sovereignty to the states where representation is possible. At present, the citizens are not fully represented in the United States Congress. As a result, the federal government has corrupted and become a tool to loot and oppress the people legally. The federal government looks increasingly like a monarchy with a king and his court. All monarchical laws were enacted without representation, without debate, without a vote. Taxation without representation is slavery. Whoever makes the law rules, and whoever rules is God. That is how the state became God. The Congress of each state has the sovereign authority to tax, regulate, and prohibit according to their sovereign state's authority. State constitutions have been in place for many years. Representation, debate, and the vote are the basics of good government. No taxation without representation becomes the dividing line. The 435 members of Congress do not have the authority to make law since they do not have full representation as required by Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3, U.S. Constitution. The USA has grown too large for full representation in Washington at 334 million citizens. So, all authority to tax, regulate, and prohibit must be returned to the 50 sovereign states where the citizens can be fully represented.